You don't have to be funnier, richer, or better looking to get people to like you. A surprising amount of the time, you just have to show up. Show up enough, and a stranger's brain quietly files you under safe. You don't say anything clever, and you don't try to win anyone over. Your face just appears, again and again, until people decide they like having you around. This isn't a trick someone made up on the internet. It's one of the most tested findings in all of psychology, and once you see it, you'll start noticing it running quietly through your whole life. Think about a song you absolutely hated the first time it came on the radio. You rolled your eyes and reached to change the station, but the radio kept playing it, day after day, whether you liked it or not. And one morning, you caught yourself humming along to the song you used to hate. The song never changed, you just heard it enough times to give in. That exact same thing happens with people, and a psychologist proved it decades ago. Back in 1968, a researcher named Robert Zajonc gave the idea a name. He called it the mere exposure effect. The idea is simple. The more often you see something, the more you tend to like it. Not because it got better, but only because you've seen it before. Zajonc showed people made-up words, foreign symbols, and photos of faces they'd never met. Some images he flashed in front of them just once. Others he showed over and over dozens of times. Then he asked everyone which ones they liked best. Almost every time, people picked the ones they had seen the most. The faces hadn't changed, and the made-up words still meant nothing at all. The only difference was familiarity, and familiarity by itself was enough. Here's the really strange part of his later work. The effect still showed up even when people were shown images too fast to consciously notice. Their eyes caught the picture, but their mind never registered seeing it, and they still ended up liking those flashed images more. So this works on you whether you're paying attention or not. Since Zajonc, the effect has been repeated in well over 200 studies. It works with shapes, songs, logos, smells, and especially with people. One detail matters more than any other. The first few exposures do the most work. The leap from total stranger to familiar face is the biggest leap there is. That's why a second glance from a familiar face is worth more than a first one from a stranger. Now, here's the experiment that makes all of this feel real. In 1992, two researchers ran a study inside a large college lecture hall. They hired 4 women who all looked roughly similar to one another. Each woman attended the same class, but a different number of times. One showed up 0 times, one came 5 times, one 10, and one 15. They arrived a few minutes early and walked slowly down toward the front. They sat where every other student in the room could clearly see them. During the lecture, they simply listened and took notes. They never spoke to a single other student. No introductions, no small talk, no waving hello, nothing. At the end of the term, students were shown photos of all 4 women. They were asked how attractive, likable, and familiar each one seemed. The woman who never came scored the lowest. The woman who came 15 times scored the highest. More appearances meant more liking. In a clean and steady climb. And remember, these women had done absolutely nothing to earn it. They never said one word to anyone in that room. Yet the whole class slowly warmed to the faces it kept seeing. So why on earth would your brain do something this odd? The short answer is that familiar things are easy for your brain to process. The first time you see a face, your brain has to work to take it all in. It studies the shape of the eyes, the nose, the whole new picture. By the 10th time, it recognizes that face instantly with almost no effort. That feeling of ease is quietly pleasant, and your brain has to explain that good feeling somehow. So it jumps to a tidy conclusion: I must like this person. It mistakes that smooth, effortless feeling for a feeling about the person. The warm feeling actually came from how easy they were to recognize, but it quietly gets pinned onto the person instead. There's also an older, deeper reason buried underneath all of this. For most of human history, a stranger could be a genuine danger. Something new and unknown was a thing to watch very carefully, but a face you'd seen many times, that had never hurt you, was probably fine. So your brain learned a simple shortcut: familiar means safe. Seen this one many times, never had a problem, so you can lower your guard. That ancient wiring is still running every time you pass the same coworker. Your caveman brain relaxes a little more with each harmless sighting. This same quiet effect also decides who your friends are. You probably think you chose your friends on purpose, for good reasons. Mostly, you became friends with whoever happened to be nearby. In 1950, researchers studied a housing complex for married students at a university. The apartments were handed out more or less at random, so who you lived near had nothing to do with who you'd naturally get along with. Months later, they asked everyone to name their closest friends in the complex. The answer was almost embarrassingly simple. People's closest friends were usually just their nearest neighbors. About 2 out of 3 close friendships were with someone living within a few doors. The person right next door became a friend far more often than the person down the hall. The friendships didn't follow shared hobbies or matching personalities. They followed the staircases, the hallways, and the front doors. People simply liked the neighbors their daily paths happened to cross. Even living near the mailboxes or the stairs made you more popular. regular. Whoever you passed the most simply became whoever you liked the most. This is why classmates, coworkers, and gym regulars slowly grow on you. You're not bonding through some deep heart-to-heart conversation. You're just being seen on repeat until you stop being a stranger. It also explains why friendships fade when someone moves far away. You don't like them any less the day they leave, but the steady stream of small, ordinary sightings dries up. And without that quiet repetition, even close bonds slowly drift apart. These days, a lot of your exposure happens through a screen. You can feel close to someone whose posts you see every single day. Your brain quietly counts those repeated glimpses almost like real-life sightings. It's why a face you only know from a phone can start to feel familiar and safe. Keep showing up in someone's feed or their week, and you slowly stop being a stranger. Now here's the part most people get completely backwards. When we want to be liked, our instinct is to perform. We crank up the jokes, the stories, and the effort, hoping to impress. Picture one guy doing backflips and cartwheels to win over the room. He's sweating, waving his arms, desperate for everyone to finally notice him. Meanwhile, a quieter guy just sits nearby, calm, and shows up every single day. He doesn't perform, he doesn't push, he simply keeps appearing. Now fast forward a few months in that same room. Everyone is exhausted by the guy who kept doing backflips. But the quiet regular has become part of the furniture, in the best possible way. People trust him, and not one of them can say exactly why. The harder the first guy works for it, the more the room seems to pull away. Calm and familiar almost always wins the long game. This is the strange truth. Trying too hard often works against you. Big, loud effort can come across as needy, and neediness quietly pushes people away instead of pulling them in. Going big also sets a bar that you now have to keep clearing forever. If you won them over as the funny one, you're stuck being the funny one. The mere exposure effect asks for none of that performance. It rewards showing up calmly and often, which almost anyone can manage. Being a familiar, pleasant face is a far easier job than being the star of the show. But before you go sit silently in every room you can find, there's a catch. Exposure builds liking, but only up to a point. If you drew it as a graph, the line climbs, then flattens out. Push it far enough, and the line can actually start to drop. Most studies find the effect peaks somewhere around 10 to 20 exposures. After that point, more is simply not better. Too much can tip over into boredom or even quiet irritation. We've all met someone who was around just a little too much. The once cozy, familiar face starts to feel like a fly that won't leave. So aim for steady, not constant, present, but not glued to their side. There's a second, even bigger catch about where you start. Exposure only makes people like you more if they didn't dislike you to begin with. If your first impression is bad, repetition makes it worse, not better. Showing a face people already find annoying just deepens the annoyance. Imagine someone loud and rude moving in next door. Seeing them every single day doesn't soften you toward them. It just gives the dislike more chances to grow. So the first rule is the simplest one. Don't be unpleasant. You don't have to dazzle anyone, and you don't have to be charming. You only have to be neutral or mildly likable, then let time do the heavy lifting. Familiar plus pleasant slowly turns into liked. Familiar plus unpleasant slowly turns into avoided. By the way, billion-dollar companies already use this against your wallet. It's the whole reason the same ads and jingles follow you everywhere. They're not trying to teach you anything new about the product. They just want that logo to feel familiar when you reach for the shelf. The brand you've seen 1,000 times feels safe, so your hand picks it up. You can use the very same force, just pointed at real human connection. So how do you actually use this in your own life? The entire strategy fits into 2 small words. Show up, go to the same gym at roughly the same time on the same days. Sit near the same people in class or in your meetings. Take your coffee break when the people you'd like to know take theirs. You don't need a clever opening line or a special reason to be there. You just need to be a face that keeps appearing in their normal week. Small, repeated signals help speed it along. A nod, a quick wave, a short hello as you walk past. Each one is tiny, but stacked over weeks, they quietly add up. Become a regular somewhere, and let the staff slowly get used to your face. Join the same club, the same team, or the same class, and simply keep coming back. Reply to the same people online week after week until they know your name. You're not forcing a friendship into existence. You're just refusing to quietly disappear before the effect has time to work. The single most important word in all of this is consistency. Consistency beats intensity almost every single time. A small hello every day does more than one long talk every few months. One amazing conversation you never repeat does less than 10 ordinary ones. Being reliably around quietly beats being briefly impressive. This is also good news if talking to people makes you nervous. You don't have to be smooth, and you don't have to perform. You mostly just have to keep turning up and not run away. And this already explains a lot of your own life if you stop and look. The barista you see every morning slowly starts to feel like a friend. You might know almost nothing about them, yet you're genuinely glad to see them. The coworker 2 desks over slowly becomes someone you'd actually grab lunch with. None of it was ever planned, and none of it took any real charm. It was just the same faces often enough for long enough. So let's pull all of this together into one simple picture. A stranger you see only once gets a question mark floating over your head. You eye them carefully, unsure, keeping a polite distance. The same stranger, after 10 quiet sightings, gets a relaxed nod and an open hand. Not one word was ever exchanged between you. And yet, something real has quietly shifted, from caution into comfort. All it cost you was time and the patience to keep coming back. That patience really is the quiet secret behind almost every easy friendship. There's a quiet kind of relief in finally understanding this. If you've ever felt like you have to perform to be liked, you can stop. Most real connection isn't built in one big, perfect moment. It's built in small, boring repetitions your brain adds up in the background. So, pick your people, get into their orbit, and keep showing up. Be pleasant, be patient, and don't overdo it. The liking tends to follow all on its own. If this made the next month of your life make a little more sense, consider subscribing. It's a low-effort way to keep showing up here, which, fittingly, is the entire point.